the feeling of censorship, or the outright censorship of progressive voices that are at odds with Hillary Clinton, who have criticisms and critiques of Hillary Clinton, who are, even if they're not straight Bernie Sanders supporters, they just have disagreements with Hillary Clinton. The founder or co-founder of DailyKos put out an article last week essentially saying that the organization is going into full general election mode. And he essentially, in my opinion, derided the critique and the criticisms that come from his own writers, such that he said that as soon as March 15th hits, March 15th is the cutoff date for Bernie Sanders, and at that point, he's not going to have the amount of he's not going to be able to catch up with Hillary Clinton, and because of that, at that point, no one is to write something negative about Hillary. No one is going to write something deriding of Hillary. The criticisms have to go out the window. And he essentially gave an outline, in my opinion, of what people can and cannot say about Hillary Clinton. And that not only is troubling, in my opinion, but that has prompted what I am calling an exodus from the DailyKos, whatever. Potato. And so tonight, joining me, before I was going to give the title of his article, but actually two authors from the DailyKos are with me today. I have Michael Solomon. He's joining us, as well as Salam Morkos. They are both writers at the DailyKos. Gentlemen, how are you tonight?
We're doing great.
Thank you so much for joining me. Michael Solomon, let me get your microphone straight. I think it might be my fault. 1 second. Let's try it. Actually, you're still muted. I think you may be muted on your end. If you want to try unmuting on your end, we'll be good to go. So let me start while we get Michael Solomon straight, get his microphone squared away. I want to thank you for joining me, and I want to talk about your article, Salam. Today I quit DailyKos. Tell me about your article and where you are and your feelings and your sentiment.
Well, last Friday, one of the people that I engage with a lot on Twitter directed me to this piece that you referred to from the owner of DailyKos, which his name is Marcos Molitsas. And basically what he said, as he suggested, that as of March 15th, that the writers on the DailyKos now have to have a different focus. And that focus would be to make sure to have Hillary Clinton elected as the next president, rather than critique her or criticize her positions. He did allow for certain, what he called constructive criticism, which I will touch base on. But what surprised me was that he actually provided certain bullet points, things that are no longer allowed or tolerated. One of the, I won't go into all the details, but one of the components that he said, if someone feels that they no longer want to support Hillary Clinton and want to provide argumentation or support for why they would either write on Bernie Sanders or would vote for a third party, that type of argumentation is no longer tolerated. And I thought that was that's the type of censorship that I would not be able to, that I will not accept. Even though personally I do not agree with the Bernie or bust movement, which I believe you're aware of. If I believe that if Hillary Clinton somehow manages to defeat Bernie Sanders, maybe it would be best for her to be elected. However, that's an opinion. Rather than it, I do not feel that anyone who has a different opinion, for example, there was an article that was written by Russ Belville, who says that he will not vote for Hillary because he doesn't believe that she's a true Democrat and that she is a Republican. That's an opinion. For that to be not allowed, I did not think that was okay, and I felt that I needed to stop writing in the DailyKos.
And that's a big move, because you've done quite a bit of writing over there. I've had a chance to read a lot of your work over there. How long have you been with DailyKos?
I haven't been there for a long time, but I have primarily written over there. It's been less than 6 months.
Really?
Yes.
A lot of work done in 6 months.
I did. I did. To be honest, I enjoyed the platform. I felt that there was a lot of discussion, which is exactly what I look for.
Right.
And I wrote quite a lot in that. I spent a lot of time on that site, and I felt that the moment I saw that article, it's funny. Within an hour, I wrote that article, and I said, "I'm done."
Yeah, and I can let me see if I have Michael Solomon's microphone working this time. I think it was me. Let's see, Michael, are you there?
I'm here. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can hear you loudly and clearly. I want you to add to this conversation. You've been writing a DailyKos. I've had a chance to read a lot of your work over there as well. That's I think that might have been the first place I actually ever heard of you. So tell me about your sentiment and what in that particular article stood out the most to you that made you make the similar decision.
I've been active on and off at the cause for quite a while and just started a new account when I started doing weekly missives again, and it struck me because I'd recently been tagged on something showing that a piece that you folks carried at progressivearmy.com as well about the oligarchy, the oligarchist cookbook we called it.
Right.
And I got tagged that it was one of the most read pieces on DailyKos so far in 2016, and in that thing that Marcos wrote, he specifically said calling Hillary an oligarch would be one of the things that would get you silenced in the near future, using that March 15th math you used. I can be a little bit of a hothead when I get fired up about politics, and saw Marcus's post and thought, well, I too am just going to not put my stuff there anymore, because a community that built its brand on running against Clinton 8 years ago is now doing rank and file, get in line with her.
Yeah.
And I just don't see how that adds to a discussion that really speaks to the heart and soul of the Democratic Party right now.
Yeah, yeah. You know, and that's one of the things, right? What's the saying? You live long enough to become the villain, or you either die a hero or you live long enough to become a villain. And DailyKos, it really did start off as an anti-establishment rag, and 8 years later, this article really, exemplifies establishment politics and the control and the influence it has over media. I think the number one thing takeaway from me, and I don't know, you guys give me your opinion on it, is that there should always be room to critique from the left if they're valid critiques, right? Just hit pieces, okay, even there should be room for hit pieces because they're hit pieces that flood the internet, right? And if it's a platform where you should feel free, and it was built on that freedom, then all of a sudden I can see, when it changes so dramatically, it really can take the taste out of your mouth, and I can see that you guys feel very similarly. Let me read a couple of quotes from the article itself, and I want to get you guys' opinion on it and just have kind of a conversation about it. The thing that jumped out the most, he said, so here's what happens on March 15th. I will no longer tolerate malicious attacks on our presumptive presidential nominee or our presidential efforts. And he's included as malicious attacks, no attacks on Hillary Clinton using right-wing tropes of sources. He said she's had 30 years of bullshit flung at her from the right. There's no need for the DailyKos to give them any assist. So my thing is, if it is a valid critique, why does it matter, one, where the source comes from, but then two, are we not allowed to make observations that really look at Hillary Clinton and says that, one, you are not the person that we think is the best. So, why should we then be silent simply because it aligns with a Republican criticism of her? I don't know. What do you guys think?
Actually, this is the one that got to me because because what happens is that he leaves a gray area, because what he calls you're allowed to have constructive criticism, but you can't have destructive criticism. Now, what does that mean? Because I wrote an article and I said that Hillary Clinton's position on the TPP is not wrong, it's insulting. And I gave argumentation, I gave evidence, and I gave reasoning of why I wrote, of why I believe that's the case. Now, does that mean after the 15th, this type of would that be considered destructive criticism? Yes, Republicans could use my very article and use it against Hillary Clinton.
Right.
That's valid. That is not my fault. That's Hillary Clinton's fault.
Right.
So I believe that the candidates must stand for what they believe in. So for us to hide from the truth is not the solution. So if we do identify weaknesses, that applies also for Bernie Sanders. I am a Bernie Sanders supporter, but if I do identify weaknesses, there is nothing wrong with me criticizing him for that, for those positions. I don't believe in that type of propaganda. Let me put it this way. I felt that by him putting that article and wording it in that way, he basically shifted his the DailyKos into a propaganda, which I felt very uncomfortable with.
And so this is the same part of that really got me, right? He said you don't use cheap sloganeering like oligarch, warmonger, and neocon. The problem is that those words actually mean something, right? If you say someone is part of an oligarchy, or they are warmonger, or they are neoconservative, that actually has substance. And so to deride that criticism as sloganeering or just politicking, it really minimizes the legitimate critiques that many people have of Hillary Clinton on those very specific things. What do you think, Solomon?
I agree completely. I think Bernie said it as well as any of us can last night when he said, I hate to break it to you, the Democrats aren't always perfect. Sometimes they do the wrong thing as well. And for us to say that we can't critique each other or the policies that are in debate during this primary season with an arbitrary date of the 15th, which is when most poli-sci people think that Hillary will be at her peak of high delegates over Bernie, it seems like it's just set up for censorship for the sake of censorship and not for actually furthering the Democratic Party in uniting.
Right, right. And then, and actually, guys, I hope you can bear with me because I have to go point by point on this. Saying that you won't vote or won't vote or will vote for Trump or will vote for Jill Stein or another third party is not allowed. Now, that to me was kind of the that's where I felt like he kind of lost his mind, right? It is his platform, right? So number one, I will respect the fact that this is his platform, and he wants to set some editorial boundaries. Fine, that's fair because it's his platform, and if you don't like his platform, you can leave his platform, right? But he's essentially saying to the public that I am no longer interested in what my writers have to say if it contradicts my personal opinion and where I think that we should go. But right here, he is saying that if you have an opinion that is contrary, if you want to vote for someone else, or you are so disappointed in the Democratic establishment that you don't want to vote at all, then you cannot say it on this platform. That, to me, is one of the most disenfranchising statements that I've ever heard come from someone who is ostensibly a progressive. What do you guys think?
Amen.
I completely agree. And actually, I mean, if he really wants to have Hillary Clinton actually elected, you actually want to get those writers and debate them and discuss with them of why their thoughts does not further their goals. But by disenfranchising by basically saying that discussing these issues will no longer be tolerated, you're actually losing a lot of people who have these feelings, and you're not going to debate them on these issues if this really matters to them. So I feel that he is not serving what he's trying to do. That's
exactly. And as Salam said earlier in the conversation, one of the great things about writing and posting on DailyKos is that people are very interactive. You get lots of feedback, lots of comments, lots of great debate. And by removing the leftist part of the debate, it just doesn't seem core to why we were active in that community to begin with.
Right, right. It takes away a key element of why you guys were there from the beginning. And then, so he said, if you want to battle the establishment, do so where it makes sense. So it's really he I mean, DailyKos is becoming an establishment rag. And then last but not least, he says, we are really in this together. I know there have been rough fights, and some community members have been terrible to each other, but consider this a sort of amnesty period. Let bygones be bygones. Don't bring in comments from past, blah, 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 blah. How can you say we're in this together when you're essentially saying if you don't agree with Hillary Clinton, then you need to completely adjust your critique or be quiet? I don't see that as we're in this together. I see this as I want you to write here, but I want you to write like this, even though that has not been the nature of the platform.
We're in this together as long as you get in line.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah, yeah. Fellas, so what's next for you guys? So you guys are, I know Solomon, you're writing at different you write at a lot of different places, right? I know you guys aren't going to miss a beat, but it just, you know, where can we read more of your stuff, and where do you go from here? So I go with Solomon first, and then we'll go to Salam.
Well, I've been posting at progressivearmy.com every week, and I'm glad and proud to continue doing that. My little weekly missive is also on the Elizabethan.com, Medium, and then my website, michaelsalamone.com. But I've been encouraging everybody to join Progressive Army. I messaged Solomon on Twitter that we'd be lucky to have him over there, because we've got a great platform that you've built for all sorts of voices and progressive voices, which, I mean, if we're looking for a home, you've already built one for us. I
have to give you an applause there. ProgressiveArmy.com. And then, Salam, where are you headed? I know you probably have some other platforms that you write for too, and then tell everyone how they can get up with you.
Well, currently I'm, as Solomon just mentioned, I'm planning to join Progressive Army, so I'm planning to write there. Awesome. And I'm also considering a few other platforms such as Medium and also Critical Me. But currently I'll be focusing on Progressive Army, and I'll go from there.
Gentlemen, I want to thank you for joining us. You know, the article was really, I hate that this happens in terms of losing a solid progressive platform where difference of opinions can be aired out. Salam, you said something very important, is that it's very critical. It's very critical that if you want anyone who stood a chance of crossing over from Bernie Sanders to support Hillary in general, it's critical that these conversations allowed to be aired out and the arguments to be had. And I think one of the most dangerous things is for Democrats in general, progressives more specifically, is to have your voice silenced and then be expected to just fall in line and obey the party mandates. So I really hate that this opportunity has been lost, because it could have been a really great platform where these grievances could be aired. And I think if he was going to make two things, it's his platform, he could do whatever the hell he wants. But if I was running the platform, one, I would have had this conversation internally first. I would have the conversation internally instead of making this broad declaration. And to me, it seemed like he was doing this more to speak to other people and not so much to his writers. I think it felt like he wanted to prove something to someone else or some other platform that that he needed to acquiesce to. So if it was me, I would have done it internally first and let us hash it out and argue in private first. He probably could have saved a lot of writers. But then two, the real demand that I would have of any writer would be that let us reason together, right? Make your argument and make your argument well. I don't care if you say you're going to vote for Jill Stein. I need you to give us a logical reason to. You can't. I don't want anyone coming on my platform and just writing because they're pissed off and they're angry and they write something that's not substantive, right? That's my only critique. I want something substantive. I want something that is rigorous, and I want you to make a really good point. And if you do that, then what else can we really ask of people who are autonomous beings and have the right to speak their mind, even if it's on a platform that you built for them? So that's my 2 cents. That's all I have to say about it. But I want to thank you guys for joining in the conversation. If you guys have any last words on that, I want to give it to you guys. If not, I just would love to have you guys back anytime you're available.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
My pleasure, my pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, that has been Michael Solomon and Salam Marcos, both of them formerly of the DailyKos or DailyKos, and they're coming over to the Progressive Army. So I can't say it's a bad thing for me and my team, but you know, I really do hate that happens. So guys, thanks so much for joining me.
Thank you, Ben.
My pleasure.
Thanks.
All right, folks, let's keep the train moving. Apparently, there's a little.